All right, so Dasein is ontological, Dasein is ontical. In what sense then is Dasein ontical? What does this mean about Dasein?
Concerned about the way of being.
Okay, more specific. Now, ontological is being concerned about the way of being itself, big B, right? So what is ontical? What does this have to do?
Beingness?
Yeah, ontical has, is some actual existent thing. In the case of Dasein, existent, right? In the case of tables and chairs, it's just things that have being or entities. But what does it mean when we say that Dasein has ontical priority? What are we calling attention to in particular about the way Dasein is itself, in what it is? What makes Dasein what it is? Or another way to ask this, what is Dasein's essence?
Existence.
Existence is Dasein's essence. Ontically, what Dasein is then is what? What is existence?
Being there.
It's not just being or being there, although that is what Dasein means.
Care.
Care, definitely, is how we're going to understand Dasein. Dasein is care. It worries about what it is. It is the worry or the care or the concern about what it is, right? Wherever it is always worried about it, itself, right? It's that specific care that is ontical. That is, if you ever stop thinking about what you are or how you are or where you are or this me that I am, you wouldn't be Dasein, right? Dasein is that, right? So what is the fundamental or one of the fundamental structures of Dasein's existence? This is an existentiale. And here you were getting at it, Adrian, but one of the fundamental structures of Dasein's existence, it's all in one word, even though we have a whole bunch of different words for it. Being in the world is a fundamental structure of Dasein's being. Dasein does not have the kind of existence or the kind of being. It's not an entity like things that are present at hand, right? Presence at hand is something distinctly different from Dasein or being in the world, right? So we could look at and understand things that are present at hand in terms of their ontic qualities. Size, shape, color, all of that stuff, right? This should sound somewhat familiar by now, right? So what are the structures that help us to understand Dasein? Well, Dasein isn't just a thing with opposable thumbs, right? This is just the shape. Or a thing with eyes facing forward and a face like a human, right? Or with arms and legs that walks upright. And any other of those ways we could maybe describe our bodies or even our souls or our minds, right? That's not getting at what Dasein is, right? What Dasein has is being in the world, right? So in order for Dasein to have being in the world, we have to understand three different sort of things woven into this notion of being in the world. What are the three ways of breaking it down? We're going to break it down, but they still have to be the same, right? They still remain connected. So what are the three different sort of points or structures of analysis here? Yep, there's being in, right? And how is Dasein's being in different from something that's present at hand's being in? How's Dasein being in? Carly?
It has facticity.
Yeah, right? Its being in is factical, or has facticity as a structure of its being in. What does that mean?
It knows itself as being a fact.
Yeah, it knows that it is a thing, right? For instance, you know that this body is yours. Or you don't know, this body's mine. You can't have it. You have your own, right? And you know your own as yours or mine. It has mineness. And it is something that can be present at hand, right? But is that all it is? Is your body just the same kind of present at hand as this marker? No, right? And we're going to find out today, this marker really isn't often present at hand either. It's mostly not present at hand. But your body isn't only present at hand, right? So what is facticity beyond that?
Concern.
It's concern, yeah. In what way do you have concern as being in? I know that's a weird question, kind of, but not really.
The way you are, what you are.
Yeah, it's like that. Okay, so where are you right now? You are being in where? Where would we say you are? Just pre-ontologically, not pre-phenomenologically, just where are you?
Class.
In class, right? How is your being in class? Where is this marker?
Class.
It's in class. Is it in class like you're in class? What's the difference?
We're engaged.
You're engaged. And let's pull that even further. What does that mean to be engaged? Phenomenon of being engaged. This marker is not. I think you're totally right. Yeah, you do. You exist in this classroom, right? That is, Heidegger will say it this way, you recognize, you understand, you appreciate, you are concerned with or have concern over the fact that the things in the world around you have a lot to do with what you are and how you are and what you will be, right? Now remember, your facticity is always a possibility of yourself, right? You're always thrown into a possibility of yourself. And that possibility gets closer to actual or farther away from being actual, dependent upon the things in the world around you. And so you concern yourself with those things. You worry about whether you have them. Have any of you ever seen, it's a really old game show now, where it used to be like, I think it was called Let's Make a Deal. And there would be people in the audience, and they would have bags. They would bring in their bags with them, and their bags would be full of all kinds of just random stuff. And the reason that they would have bags full of random stuff is because in part of the game, they would just say, who has a pair of tweezers? If you have a pair of tweezers, I'll give you $1,000. And people start running through their bags, and if you have one, you'd raise your hand. And who has a marker that can write in rainbow colors? Right? It has all of the different colors, and people would rifle through their bag. Who has a thimble? Like just random stuff, right? And you wouldn't know what was going to turn out to be significant or important for your future until the guy said, and he would just randomly say something, right? Now, if you could cheat and get that list ahead of time, well, you could make maybe some money that way, right? But so they probably had to, now that you think about it, right, to run that game show, they probably had to use really secretive ways of trying to make sure that that list, if they had one ahead of time, didn't get sent out or get captured or spied or something. I don't know. Okay, so if I were to say to you, I will give you an A in this class. You won't have to attend anymore. You won't have to write a paper. You won't have to take any tests. You don't have to do any quizzes. I will just give you an A if you have a purple pen. Has to be purple ink. If you thought I was serious, what would you do? Maybe start looking through your bag, think, wait, do I have a purple pen or not? If I don't give you a timeline, you might run down to the bookstore. Do you have any purple pens here? Do you have any purple pens? They'd be like, why are we getting a run on purple pens all of a sudden? We've got 20 students, 10 students asking for purple pens, right? Because suddenly a possibility for you to be an A student is tied up with the things in the world around you, right? But that's the case now, even though an A for a purple. You think in order to get an A, you need to do well on the quizzes. In order to do well on the quizzes, you probably better take some notes. In order to take notes, what do you need? You need a pen or pencil, and you need some paper. Since I won't let you have your computers out, you've got to do it old-fashioned way, right? So that you know that the pen, at least you think, the pen and the paper, just things that are being in the classroom, are important to your destiny, right? So you care, you have concern for them. And the more that you're invested in some possibility that you want to be, the more you will care about those things that you see as sort of helping you achieve that possibility, right? So if you define yourself as, I've got to get an A in this class, and it's like the most important thing in my life, then the equipment in the world around you that affords you to become that possibility really matters, right? It becomes significant. That's facticity, right? Facticity. The other example I gave you is if somebody suddenly walks in that door and has a gun, it's just a thing in the world, but it's now a thing in our world. We're alongside it. We're there with it, and we see that as having a deep impact on our future possibilities, right? What we can be. And so we care a lot about that gun in the classroom, right? This marker doesn't care at all, because the marker doesn't have facticity. We wouldn't care if we didn't have presence at hand in some way. If you didn't see yourself as a factical thing, a real, ontically, you're a student, you're here, this is one of your possibilities, and that means your body, your presence, your being here is here in a present at hand kind of way, right? But not just that, because clearly you have a very different kind of being here than this, which also has presence at hand, right? That makes sense, right? This is all just still review. Except for I've thrown in some new terms, equipment and significance. And these are going to be important terms here in just a little bit, right? Okay, so we have being in. And being in is a existentiale, which means it is a structure of existence, right? And each of you has being in your own way. This is a great thing about Dasein. Everybody does not have the same being in. Everybody does not have the same facticity at all. Not even two people who are sitting right next to each other in the classroom feel themselves in the classroom in the same way, right? You all do it in your own mine-ness. Your facticity is your own, and mine is mine, right? Okay, so what is another structure of being in the world? Got facticity. In the world. And here we're going to worry about the word world, right? Another thing I wanted to say about being in for Dasein is that this is the world of familiarity, right? The world of familiarity, the one where you feel at home, right? That's the world you're in. And you will do your best, especially any environment. Although Heidegger kind of he talks about environment. Environment is, like that, the space that you occupy that's immediately surrounding you or something like that. He uses the word environment a lot, but he wants to pull away from you thinking that your world is just your environment. Because it isn't, right? Like if I'm sitting in the classroom, but I'm really stressed about my mother, say that she's very ill, and my mind is half concerned about what's going on with my mom and wishing that I weren't here and hoping that maybe she's having surgery and it's all going to go well, then my world includes that object of concern that isn't in my environment, but it's in my world. And it may even be a huge part of my world, even though it's not in my environment, right? So your environment can be and is a significant part of your world, but it is not the same thing at all as a world, right? Having a world is having a space of concern or a space of care. Factically, that has a lot to do with your environment, but not exclusively, right? It's that wherein you are familiar, that wherein you feel at home is also your world. And it can get disturbed, and often it is, right? We talked about this tendency that Dasein has to make itself at home by habitually sitting in the same chair, right? And it just starts to feel comfortable or familiar. That's what Dasein does, right? And it does that because this affords you a certain possibility. This is how you feel like you student well, right? Or student however, whatever level of possibility you want it to be. Does that make sense? Right? Any questions, comments so far? Okay, so then what is the four ways we can use the word world?
In an ontological sense.
Yep. This is almost always the answer, right? Ontical, ontological. Ontical, ontological. Yeah. In an ontical sense, second.
Ontological.
In an ontological sense, third. Ontical number 2 sense, right? And then fourth. Ontico-ontological, this one is just worldhood, right? We don't do this very much, but this is what the book is trying to help us to come to terms with. But he's going to use this one for the way that he means world, right? But let's just review them very quickly. How, in the ontical number 1 sense, we use the word world how?
Buildings,
Yeah.
forests, highways.
Buildings, forests, highways, cities, countries, houses. You just add up all the stuff, all the things, and that makes up a world, right? Just all those things. This is just thinking about things in terms of their being present at hand, right? Okay, how about this one then, the ontological world? Yeah, just think the world of a rock star, or the world, he gives the example, the world of a mathematician. And what is that helping you to remember or recall? Yeah, Dasein definitely has this capacity of having a world in an ontological sense, the world of a rock star, the world of a mathematician. And I live in the same ontical world as a rock star. Same stuff in my life as, or in the earth, the planet Earth that I live on is the same stuff as